Hey there, this is Katherine from Katherine Cartwright Crafts. Welcome into the ScrapbookPal channel. Take a moment and hit the subscribe button if you aren't already a subscriber. There's so much great content here you don't want to miss. I am so excited to share a stamp set today with you from Honeybee Stamps called New Year Cheers, all about the new year, and then there's some coordinating dies for purchase as well. There's also, I'm going to use this Cheers stamp set that has cheer and cheers, and then a bunch of little smaller sentiments to use with those words. And then there are also the die cuts that coordinate as well. These are a lot of fun. You get like an outer die, an inner die, and then the top layer. And then there are layered fireworks. Loving the stencil set. So I'm going to share 3 projects on camera. I made a 4th one off camera. The video's a little long, but stay with me. I promise it'll be worth it. Okay, so I'm going to start, when I get a sentiment set like this that has a lot of images, I want to start by stamping a bunch of them. I find that it saves time for me. I like to stamp them all at one time, as many as I can. I fit into my stamp positioner. I'm going to use some Gina Amalgam ink in Obsidian, which is a very deep black. I'll use that, ink that up. I'll probably stamp these twice to get a nice, good image. My ink pad is a little dry as well, so it needs a little love and attention. But these are great for alcohol inks, and that's what I'm going to be using today. So I've got this on alcohol-friendly paper. And I'm going to just do a bunch of coloring to begin with. Like I say, I like to stamp, and I stamp several sheets of these. So when I have a free moment, if I'm watching TV, if I just feel like sitting down and doing a little coloring, I've got some sheets to color. And so I like to do them all at once, and then I can use as much or as little as I feel like. So I like having that flexibility of it's already done. It just takes a little bit of time. And then you've got a lot of things to work with. So I'm going to start out coloring this clock using some cool grays. I've got C1, C2, C4, and C5. And I'm just doing some kind of blending on the sides. I'm leaving my top and bottom a little bit lighter. I don't really worry too much about the shadows. This is such a small image, so I'm just kind of adding a little bit of the C4 and C5 on the edge to deepen it a little bit and give just a little bit of contrast on there. I'm going to move on to this adorable wine bottle, and I'm actually going to color it a purple. I'm using some of my V's, V9, V15, V17. I'm going to need my colorless blender as well because I kind of come out on one of these on the bottom, and so that's a great marker to have. If you're new to Copic coloring, you need to have a colorless blender because especially these smaller images, sometimes my hand gets a little heavy and I will come out of the line, and that colorless blender makes it super easy to repair any errors that you may have had. So I'm just blending these colors together. I'm going to come back with a third color, that V15. I had the V9 and V17, and it was a little too much of a contrast. So I decided to bring in that 15 to kind of balance that out a little bit. And I love the way that it turns out. It was just a really quick and easy coloring on that. And I'm going to leave my label white, and then I'm going to color in the top of my wine a little bit of a lighter purple as well. Maybe some of the wine coming out of there. And here's that colorless blender that I referenced. I'm just fixing up a little bit where my hand got a little bit heavy. I'm going to move on and color my sparkling beverages. I guess this could be champagne or some sort of spirit like that. And so I'm just using a couple of yellows here, Y8 and Y19, and I'm going to blend those together. And then I'm going to come back on these glasses with B0000, lots of zeros. So a very light color. It's really going to be hard to see on camera. You can see it a little bit better in person. But since it's glass, I didn't want to go too deep on there. So I just kept that really light. I'm coming back with a a V0 and V12 to color my wine that's popping out of my jar, which is so cute, my bottle. And so I'm just going to blend those two colors together. And then my cork is going to be E23. I just kept that all one color that I thought blended well with that purple. Okay, so this is Y28, which is, I think you call it lionette gold is the way that you say that, possibly, but it is a gold Copic marker, and I love it. And so when I started playing with the set, I knew that I wanted to pull that into my color scheme. So I'm colored the top of those cute glasses with this gold color, the Y28, and then I'm coming back and I'm just doing a blend, not even a blend, I'm just coloring in these glasses, all solid black to have some nice contrast with that 2022 on top. It is hard to believe that 2022 is around the corner. I'm back again with the same gold marker, and I'm leaving just a little bit of a highlight, not spending a lot of time on that. Just, it's such a pretty color. Again, it's a little hard to see on the camera, but you can see it's got just a kind of a little shimmer to it without being really shimmery. It's hard to explain, but it's a beautiful color. Kind of gives a little bit more opaqueness to it, I guess, than being just totally a clear color. So I'm going to work on coloring the rest of these fireworks and then these adorable little confetti. And like I say, by coloring a bunch of these images, then you have a whole palette you can use and create a million different cards with them. So I'm just finishing off this one kind of sparkler, and then I will be moving on from that. So I'll die cut those in a bit, but until then, I'm going to pull out a couple of ink pads. These Delicata, I guess is how you say it, ink pads that are silver and gold. I decided to use these stencils, these layering stencils. I'm trying to find my words. And I'm going to ink blend onto my black cardstock. And I love the way that this looks. It ended up being really, really pretty. And so this is a pigment ink, so you want to let this dry. I'm going to use both of the stencils. So I'm going to let it dry, but you could also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, after I stencil this first layer, I wanted to get moving with it and keep going. So I could have heat set it, but then I decided I wanted to use a clear embossing powder on top to make sure that it wasn't going to move. So I'm just going to pull out some clear embossing powder, and I will heat this all over my image. You can see it kind of pop out a little bit more, easier to see to the eye, and then it will melt into that beautiful gold ink. And then I'll move on to the next color, the silver, that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to bring my heat tool over and heat this up. It takes a second. You can see it start to turn, and you can see that gold. It does change a little bit of the color. I don't think it shines quite as much when you heat set it, but in person, it's really, really pretty. It's one of those things that on camera, it just kind of loses its luster, so to speak. But in person, it's really, really pretty. I was very happy with how this turned out. So again, you could just leave it and let it dry a good bit and then come back. But I just wanted to heat set that so I could start with my next layer. Now you can layer these on top of each other. I did not do that, even though they're layering stencils. I wanted more of an organic feel to it. And so I did not spend the time layering them all up on top of each other, but I did kind of offset it a little bit, and I love that the effect that you get. So you can do a lot of different things with these stencils. You could just by moving the stencils around. So there's a lot of fun to be had with these. And let's see the reveal of that silver on top. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it is so pretty. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry overnight. Here are our dried fireworks. I have run all of my colored pieces through my die cut machine, and I'm going to pop those out. I'm going to use these for a variety of things. So again, stay with the video because I've got more than just this card I'm going to make. I've got a couple other projects to share. I kind of got going on this stamp set, and I just couldn't stop. There was too much to create. Okay, so I'm going to stamp using that Cheers and Cheer sentiment set. I'm going to use my embossing ink, my Versamark, and then I'm going to come and add some gold embossing powder to it. And I will heat that onto my black cardstock. And you can see I've got a little bit of a smudgy thing there, and so I'm just going to brush that off, and I will heat this up again using my heat tool. And it'll take a second. This is a pretty large image, so you want to get your heat tool really hot, and then you can see the magic begin. It turned into that glorious gold on the black that just really, really stands out. So super pretty. And then I'm going to take one of these dies. There are 3 of them in the set. I'm using the middle one. So there's a bottom one that has kind of a pierced edge to it, then the middle layer, and then there's the one that cuts out the word. So this is going to cut out the outline, and you'll see in just a minute what we have left with the cutout. So you'll see there's a little bit of a border. I'm looking for my other die to cut the outline piece that I'm going to use, that white piece. So look at that. You have a beautiful little border, but these dies are just so versatile. I'm so excited to use them. So I'm going to glue this down onto my white card base, my word base, I should say, not my card base, the word base that will go onto my card base. And once I get that glued down and in place, I will start assembling the card. But look at how pretty that is, and you can just change your colors of your embossing powder. And I'm showing you here that that word Cheers and Clink that are in the stamp set, they're also dies that are included as well in that die set, that large die set. I just couldn't get over how many of the dies cut out the images. It's really impressive. Okay, so now I'm going to layer up some of these thin adhesive squares onto my sentiment, and then I will work on cutting a little strip. I have stamped a little strip. I'm going to stamp the word holiday, and I'm just going to trim that down with my cutter, getting that little piece out, and then I can add that to the front of my panel. So I'm going to glue this down to my cardstock, and I'm going to use a piece of bright gold foiled paper from my stash to pull out some of that gold from the stenciling of the fireworks, and then I will add this to a white card base. All of these are A2 size, which is 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. That's the final finished size of the card. Okay, so I'm going to layer that onto my card using that foam, and then I'll add the holiday on top. Now I have a little error here. I realized holiday cheers was not what I wanted to say. I wanted to say holiday cheer. So at the end, you're going to notice that I am going to change that out. I'm going to peel off that cheers and replace it with cheer. So I just had a bit of a senior moment there and didn't pay attention to which die I was using. But I've come back and added all of those beautiful elements on the front, some confetti, a little sparkler, the glasses, and then on the inside I cut out one of those Happy New Year kind of little splotches or splats, I guess you'd call it, and I've just run that over with my Y28 marker, and I'm going to put that inside my card. Just a fun little way to say Happy New Year. So I'm going to glue that down, and that will be it on this card. Okay, love the way that turned out. Love that background. All right, moving on. Here is my next project I'm sharing with you. I have cut a tag from Hero Art's tag set that is on the website, and I am taking some of my Nuvo glue. This is the large tip, and you can see it's wet right now. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to pull out some foil, some gold foil, Deco foil. And once I let that dry for just a couple of minutes, you can see it sort of change. I'm going to start adding this foil to my tag. I wanted to glitz it up a little bit. I wanted to try this out and see how it worked, and I am very happy with the result. So I love to add glitter, glue, or foil to a lot of things when I can. And so I thought this tag would be a great place to add that fun little element with the gold. So I'm just running my Deco foil around, taking my time to go back around. I'm just using my finger. You probably could flip it over and use your bone folder to make sure you have good adhesion. But since I wanted you to see what I was doing, I just left it upright so you could see everything. And look at that. I just love that sparkle. And it's not going to be perfect. It is not perfection. It's very organic looking, which I referenced that I like to have in my cards. So I stamped that holiday. I'm going to add the word cheer. I used 2 of those cuts to glue together the green and the white. And then I'm going to come back and add a bottle of wine and another glass of champagne or some sort of sparkling drink to finish that tag off. I think this would just be so much fun to add to a bottle of wine or to some kind of maybe food gift or something during the holidays. But that was so quick and easy. It was really quick and easy. And you don't even have to add the gold foil if you don't want to. That's just an element I wanted to try and see how it worked. Okay, moving on. Next card. I've got a circle that I cut from a bright yellow cardstock. I'm going to stamp the word clink in that black Gina K Obsidian Amalgam ink. And I need to ink my pad because it is getting very dry. I had pulled out a piece of yellow cardstock, and you can see that I stamped the Happy New Year banner. I did that off camera. I just did it onto white paper, and I loved it when I cut it. I was going to color it initially, and then I changed my mind. I liked the cleanness of it, and I had this piece of patterned black paper just in my stash on my table when I was cleaning up, and I thought that might look good with that banner. So I've added the clink on there, and then I'm going to come back and add my glass here, and I will glue this onto a yellow cardstock. I wanted to have a bright piece of yellow, that same color behind, to pull that together. And then I will add this to another A2 sized card base. And to finish this one off, I'm going to add 3 sequins, just bright, kind of iridescent sequins that I enjoy using a lot to kind of glitz it up just a little bit. Since this is sort of a holiday card, I wanted it to have a little bit of sparkle. So that's it on that one. Okay, so to recap, here is the card I just made using the stamps and the glass sentiment, I should say. And here is that cheer card, holiday cheer, that I repaired, pulling off that cheers. I've got the holiday cheer all ready for the new year. Here's that tag that I made using the gold Deco foil and some more elements from that stamp set. And this is the one I made off camera. I just started playing with the layered stencils. I used the cheers die word, and then I cut out the balloon and the party hat. And you can see I'm kind of pointing out the difference between which layer you use of those word dies. So you've got 3, and you can make so many different combinations. It's just, they're really, really fun to play with, those buzzwords. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to ScrapbookPal if you haven't already. Hit the like button too. And I hope that you found some inspiration. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll check in with you in a month or so. Have a great day. Thanks again.